So we assume that he will figure it out and everything like that. But the Tennessee Titans got a lot to figure out. Cam Ward, I think, has all the talent in the world. If you put nothing around him, will he ever be able to accomplish anything? We have no idea. But the people of Nashville are great football people. So, hopefully that'll come together because Nashville and football being great would be fantastic and has been fantastic. But they fired Vrabel. Vrabel now maybe coach of the year with New England. Lady doesn't even show up at the firing of the thing. I mean, there's just a lot with them being bad. Jaguars, though, don't look now. Liam Cohen's got them rolling.
Go football team.
D'Amico Ryans, Houston Texans, well, they just get a huge win.
Let's go football team.
They get a huge win in division in a difficult place to play. Now, the AFC South, though, everybody has to still play everybody. Okay? Colts still have to play Jacksonville Jaguars twice. We have to play Houston Texans one more time. Every divisional game for the Indianapolis Colts has come in the final quarter, basically, of the NFL season. Remember when we were the hottest team in the NFL?
I do.
Yeah. There was no division games then. All the division games are right now. And guess what? Our quarterback has a fractured fibula, which I didn't even know what the fuck it was. And I looked it up. That thing's right here. That's a very vital one.
You need that.
Yeah, you do. That came out of nowhere. Saw him on injury report. Whoa. What's going on here? What's going on here? Nothing. No, all good. Okay, it'll be good. He's still playing. See him on the injury report again.
It's all good.
What's going on here? Nothing's going on. Then I see a video from Romeo Boyd.
Ooh.
He's doing.
Big Ben.
He can't even move.
Put him in a boot.
What's he doing?
He's all right. He broke his leg. He'll be fine.
Well, at least you have AR as backup, right? Oh, no.
He hurt himself warming up.
Yeah. Well, at least non-division games for the Seahawks and the Niners.
Yeah, a couple cupcakes.
Yeah, it's easy road here for the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow.
I don't know if this was Roger Goodell or who it was.
See that.
We've been through enough. But on that note,
tough sketch.
Yeah, and listen, CJ, I mean, this guy, I don't know what his problem is. He's throwing a ball basically like this. 30 yards down the field, right on the money to somebody every single time. It makes no sense how good he is seemingly every time he steps foot into our building. He is everything that you would want your quarterback to be when he's in our building. Now, our defense made some plays. Even got an interception, did a dance. It was sweet. We did a lot of good things. Alec Pierce made some plays. But inevitably, in the end, the Houston Texans beat the Indianapolis Colts. And it wasn't just the Houston Texans, might I add. It was also the refs. Okay? It was also the officials.
Bullshit.
Listen, they put ass in these officials are ass. Okay, that is what these particular refs did. This is a delay game. Okay, it's 3rd and 15. Obviously, field goal range. So 16-13, we assume Kaimi Fairbairn will make the kick, maybe. Okay, so obviously a delay of game. So they should have had to play. Then we get a phantom defensive pass interference. Okay, so play shouldn't happen. Okay, and now what? Oh, yeah, pass interference on who? On that? And then the ref is literally standing right behind it. He had good eyes on this thing. I saw him. This is right down our thing. He calls defense pass interference. Obviously, they get a first down. Okay, sweet. This should have been a field goal. Instead, end around. Collins, touchdown, Texans. All of a sudden, it's 20-13, right? Well, that would be if they hit the extra point. Well, let's go to the extra point. Yeah, he misses it. Okay, so it doesn't even go in. And this guy, yep, it's good, right? That's what we're doing. So this is all within a span of like 4 or 5 plays. So whenever you talk about an entire building just getting the you suck chance out of them as aggressively as possible, you're talking about in this exact moment. It was absurd, and it was back to back to back to back. And it's like the Houston Texans defense is phenomenal. Okay, yeah, there are some Texans fans in there. The fans are also great. CJ Stroud,
what the hell? Oh, no. Is this real? They had to change the name?
Brandon Alvarez. I do not.
Oh, no.
Wait, when they do that?
I told X they can't do this. I told her, hey, excuse me. This is not allowed. AI is getting out of control.
Oh, that's not real?
I don't think. No, that's not real.
Okay.
Were the cranes already going up when you guys were leaving yesterday to do this? Or
that is not real. That is AI. It is not actually the Stroud.
Wait, really?
Brandon Alvarez said he took the picture, right? Then he said, no. Damn, Pat responded to a pic I made. Oh, yeah, it's fake. It's not real.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but did he make it in like with his camera?
He was the foreman?
Yeah.
No, he was on the thing, and he was doing it. because every time
He
CJ
wasn't in the
plays,
helicopter?
he did not. That is not. It's called the Loud House. It is not called the Stroud House. I'm done with it. But this is what happens when CJ plays against us. Seemingly always wins. And with the Indianapolis Colts quarterback situation being what it is, we're in trouble because a big part of Danny Dimes' offensive contributions is the fear that he can outrun you, which he can. Hey. White boy got a little motion whenever he was running.
Yeah.
Danny Dimes, he kind of looks like a nerd, acts like a nerd, everything like that. He's big, strong, powerful, fast boy.
Over rush yards.
Over rush yards every single game. That's a massive part of his game. There really isn't much fear of that right now, I don't think. And Houston Texans' #1 defense, that was not the right team to have to play against with that. They are.
They hunt.
They do.
Yeah, they
Boy,
do
hunt.
I actually thought a couple different times, these fans have to hate watching these games. Their defense is so good. This is ass. Like your offense, you're here for the offense. You show up and your offense is going to be ass against this team. So you just got to sit there and be, all right. Maybe next time. All right. This is getting kind of boring, isn't it? Boo! We need to start doing some stuff. Boo! It's like, well, this Texans defense doesn't let you. They are very good. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, very good. And the Indianapolis Colts, we're trying to hold on right now. We are trying to hold the hell on right now. We got a tough road down the stretch. Joining us right now, ladies and gentlemen, is senior NFL insider and Michigan man, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Schefter. Shefty, sorry we made you wait there. We apologize. Let's talk about Danny Dimes, shall we? I didn't know what a fibula was. I had to obviously Google it, ask where it is. That feels like a pretty important one to somebody who's pretty mobile. Now, Danny Dimes, fractured fibula, what do we know? And what should we be expecting going forward?
Well, I think it's a hairline fracture, and I think it compromises his lateral. You'll see that he has not been able to move laterally as much as he did earlier in the year, and they're not calling as many plays for him to run as they did earlier in the year, and it seems to be an issue in that regard. Obviously, he's full participant in practice. Obviously, he's going to play, but obviously he's not going to play the same way that he's been playing, and I think that has impacted their offense some.
Yeah, it certainly has. And also, it hurts very bad, this type of thing. So, obviously, the amount of mental toughness that he'll have to go through every single step. We shall watch as the journey to the AFC South Championship rolls on. Sauce Gardner, we lost him very early in the game. I was actually with Tyrese Halliburton, recovering very well, by the way. I just showed a one-footed dunk last week. Tyrese Halliburton was in the suite. Watching the game, he's a big Colts fan, loves coming out. He saw the replay of this, and obviously he's going through an Achilles thing right now. He goes, hey, that looked like something, he looked back there, that calf, something along those lines, immediately upon it happening, because that's kind of the MO of one of these things. It feels like somebody kicks you from the back, they say, and then he got carried off. Now, he's walking there, but when he was on the field, there was no pressure on his foot at all. So we were all very, very worried. What are we hearing with Sauce Gardner? Is obviously we were bummed out quick that we lost the #1 out there.
Yeah, well, the good part is, obviously, it doesn't seem like it's his Achilles. And the great Dr. Randy Moss diagnosed that right away. We were in our conference room watching the games after Sunday Countdown. And obviously, to your point, Pat, everybody thinks, okay, is this an Achilles? But within minutes, Sauce was back on the field in a boot and with crutches. And Randy's like, if you tear your Achilles, you're not coming back out into the field. It won't be his Achilles. And it doesn't look like it was. It looks like it's a calf injury. It looks like it's multiple weeks. I think we may have seen the last of him for roughly about a month. Roughly. We'll see if they decide to put him on injured reserve or not. Hey, the good part is it's not his Achilles. Because if it was his Achilles, you don't even know if the guy's ever going to be the same kind of player again. Fortunately, it looks like a calf injury. Calves are not fun, and it looked like it was very painful, and hopefully he's back soon, and hopefully Tyrese Halliburton's back soon.
Let's go to the next overreaction, shall we? This one's from Dustin Hunley at DH Sports Fan. He likes them all. Hashtag I don't want to overreact. But the Colts are done.
Oh, no.
It was a fun first 2 months of the season, but reality is set in, and the lead in the division is gone. Now we have to go to Kleintown next week to battle for the lead, and we all know how that's going to go. Go ahead and hang the first half of the 2025 season AFC South Division winners banner and be done with it. Hey, Dustin, making a lot of valid points. I don't like the way you're toning this entire thing. Colts are in a bad spot. I mean, I'm just going to say it. Now, Houston Texans. That's a good football team. #1 defense in the NFL. Obviously, they are a good football team. We were supposed to be a great football team, though. In the past couple of weeks, it hasn't been the case. Jonathan Taylor had a couple electrifying runs, but at the beginning of the season, obviously, it was every single time he touched the ball, he was having an electrifying run. Danny Dimes, a big part of his game, even though people don't really want to give him the credit for it, is his mobility ability. And now he has a fractured fibula. Okay,
Hairline.
Oh, okay.
Shefty said heroin. Oh, it's fine. Heroin.
It's just one of the most painful things that you can possibly have. So he's not going to be able to run as much, which is a huge part of it. And our defense, without DeForest Buckner playing, it's been certainly something. Sauce Gardner is going to be out for the next month. I mean, it is It is gloomy days for the Indianapolis Colts. I think we'll be talking to C.J. Stroud here in about 10 minutes or so. Can't wait to hear his thoughts on how the Colts are kind of doing and the new name for the Loud House, which I certainly do not love. But with the Colts and where we're at right now, I don't think like you can judge them because we don't know what they're going to be. We have no idea what they're going to be. Massive games on the horizon. The refs screwed us against the Texans. There's no doubt about that. Definitely. Okay, the refs were certainly not on our side. There was a lot of bogus calls. That is the loudest I've ever heard the Loud House all decide that the refs were ass because the refs were ass. And then you get on the internet, everybody's saying the refs are ass. And J.J. Watt, Houston Texans Bull Ring of Honor member, says that was ass. So everybody says that the refs were ass. They certainly were ass. Okay, so I'm not going to say that that isn't certainly a part of it, but we lose to the Texans. Texans are getting very good right now. Jacksonville Jaguars playing very good football right now. We lost our last two after winning all of our first ones. Feels like there's a couple different trends happening in the AFC South, and I don't like it. AFC South, it just means more, and right now it feels like we are less, and everybody else is more, D-Bud.
Yeah, and that's a tough stretch we got there. But, I mean, if you ask me before the season, going into week 14, we're sitting at 8-4. Like, I'm not worried. We're in a good spot. We still got a chance. Right. We control our entire destiny.
No.
It's on the quarterback. You know, how healthy is he going to be with the hairline fracture? You know, he's fine running straight forward, but the lateral movement is one thing you got to do.
On ISO.
Yeah, you got to do that in football every play. But kind of concerned about that. Then the Sauce Gardner thing. Shefty basically said he's going to be put on IR, so that's like a playoff return. That's what it sounds like to me. But maybe we can figure it out.
I mean, they're dogs in every single one of those games.
Well, yeah, that's what we like to be. We like that. Okay, especially with how the dogs did this past weekend. I don't think so. Down there in Jacksonville.
Niners, Jags at home.
-1.5.
You'll be.
At this week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like that. Like that's what we're talking about in Clanton, going down to Duval. Take on a very good Jacksonville Jaguars team. The AFC South is a problem. Okay, it is a problem.
I don't trust Trevor Lawrence.
And everybody can be in there. We got Jags twice, Houston Texans another time. I mean, we'll see how it all goes.
Star Wars content over the past decade has been pretty embarrassing in general. All the crap that they're shoveling out on Disney Plus. They haven't put a movie out in several years, but don't worry, Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be here to save the day. But they have been putting out some things on Disney Plus, including Star Wars Visions. So Star Wars Visions, the animated show, which they farm a bunch of the work out to a bunch of different studios and things like that. Some of them are more of an anime style, like an Asian anime style. Some of them are from India, a bunch of different places all around the world and make non-canon stories for Star Wars. Well, one of those didn't go so well for them, for Star Wars Visions, because as it turns out, when you farm out your content to an Indian animation studio, there's a high likelihood they're just going to steal from someone else that's better than them. It's kind of like when you find out that this random white girl who's been thirst trapping over on Twitter is actually from fucking India or wherever. Like, that's kind of the idea. And these were the headlines a week or two ago. Star Wars fan filmmaker accuses Disney of stealing his work. Disney hit with plagiarism claim over Star Wars Visions episode. And it is much more than just a claim. It is just straight up a ripoff, right? On the top is a fan film labeled Dark Jedi, which came out in 2019. On the bottom is Star Wars Visions, Season 2, Episode 7. Look at the choreography in this. Watch this shit. And I'm going to pause it just in case we get copyright claimed by either the fan film or Disney Star Wars. But as you can see, it's exactly the fucking same. Like, even down to the slow-mo portions, they just straight up ripped off this guy. Like, how does this happen? This is nuts. One more time. Like, it is a straight up ripoff of this fan film. And look, I'm not saying that Kathleen Kennedy is out there or Dave Filoni is out there being like, make sure you steal that guy's stuff right there. I don't think that's the case. I think it's this fucking Indian studio that they farmed it out to, and they didn't do any checking. They don't care. They just want more slop for fucking Disney Plus. I think Visions is worthless and a waste of fucking time, period. That's what I think of the entire Visions series. But, like, this is very troubling. And it's not the first time or the second time or the third time or the fourth time that Disney Star Wars, Disney Lucasfilm specifically, has been caught plagiarizing shit. They've done that before. They've had people that have, created space battles or ships or things like that, or models for ships, and have Disney comic book artists, Marvel comic book artists for Star Wars come in and basically just fucking trace over it, just plagiarize their shit. We've seen it time after time. And it's this guy right here. Lorenz Hideyoshi is the name. When Disney blatantly steals your action design, could have changed the camera angles at least. Yes, didn't even change the camera angles. Above is my Star Wars fan film Dark Jedi 2019. Below is Star Wars Visions, Season 2, Episode 7. I mean, they already had a different weapon setup, but still managed to brute force push my choreography onto that action. Didn't even change the camera angles. Why, Disney? Is because we made a non-profit tribute film fan film of one of your IPs, and now you feel justified in stealing from this pool of creative output? Maybe either A, pay your animators more, or B, hire an action designer. Hashtag Disney, hashtag thieves, hashtag a bunch of other shit. Like, it's obviously fucking just straight up ripped off and stolen. And it's been a problem for Lucasfilm for quite some time. This is embarrassing. But look, it's clear Disney can't create anything by themselves. So even for their non-canon Star Wars Visions bullshit, even for all of that, right? Even for all of that, they can't help themselves but rip off someone else's content. And it's hard enough to do that because they will take your shit down in a second, right? Because you're not technically supposed to be able to like monetize fan films and things like that because it's based on IP, and all that's understandable. But yet you will steal from those people. How fucked up is that? I guess it just goes right along with everything else we've seen from Disney Star Wars over the past decade plus.
It's been almost a month since the World Series champion was crowned. Man, that's still an amazing series to look back on. If you're not from Canada or a Jays fan. Sorry, I had to. This is the inspiration for every other franchise to look towards. Lifting up that trophy is a sign of triumph over adversity. Even for those that failed to make the postseason entirely. There were the blatantly rebuilding, the colossal disappointments, the flameouts, and the simply god-awful in every conceivable fashion. These are the stories of the 18 teams that have been in off-season mode for 2 months. Maybe more in some cases. Let's get to it. I'm light enough with this as it is. Preseason expectations are quite the bitch, aren't they? To be told that this was the year everything would line up for a true push, yet the only one happening is Into the Harbor. The season was over by now. So much for taking that next step with the elite core. Team pitching jumped off the Calvert Cliffs, particularly starting pitching. And the half measures the O's took in the offseason surprisingly did nothing. Barring Brendan High was the most they did in years, to be fair. Although there was progress since he was canned. Going around 500 and Trevor Rogers turned into the best pitcher in baseball for about 3 months. It might have done enough to save Mike Elias' job to the chagrin of Baltimore. In response, welcome Craig Albernaz from Cleveland to the head skipper's role. Not really the name they were looking for, but it could work. Yet many questions remain. Gunnar Henderson remains unextended, a bunch of hitters had god-awful years, and Adley Rutschman might be on the way out. Adley's fading bat in the extension for Sam Basayo are heading towards it, regardless of the dreaded vote of confidence he got. They need pitching bad. Did you see most of it this year? When your best pitcher in the first half is Tomoyuki Sagano, to call it dreadful is an understatement. Are they simply relying on Bradish and Grayson returning in 2026? Hold on, scratch that, they traded Grayson for Taylor Ward. When the team highlights embarrassing the Dodgers in a series, it's pain. Sometimes trying to push for the top with limited resources runs out of gas. Wait a minute, I shouldn't say sometimes, it always ends up being the case. You should seriously commend the Rays for keeping that window open as long as possible. In most circumstances, this would have fallen apart much earlier. A lot like Shane McClanahan. He had a major setback in his rehab and didn't return this year. And who knows if he's ever the same. That was the Rays' season. They were just there. in the mix for the division lead in late June, but slowly faded away when the July and August grind appeared. Drew Rasmussen's reemergence could only do so much. Their endgame was weak like their outfield outputs. Chandler Simpson just can't be Ben Revere with Ducks and expect to survive. His fielding sponsored by Hillsborough County Trash and Recycling Collection. At least they got a replacement for Wander Franco's Lolita Express and Junior Caminero. The dude looks like a legitimate superstar, and should be the next piece Tampa Bay builds off of, as they try to get him to avoid underage Dominican brides. The greatest victory of the season happened. Stuart Sternberg is gone. Tampa Bay is free. Patrick Solupski is the new head honcho, and a new stadium in the area is paramount to his efforts. They'll be moving back to the Trop for the time being. Reconstruction efforts are well underway, but the same problems of that stadium remain, mostly with the team treading water. So how do they catch sunlight? I'd have been more shocked if things somehow did get worse for them. One of the most improved teams in baseball this year. The White Sox have gone from historically abhorrent to simply bad. Hope Leo the 14th adds at least 5 more wins to their record by his presence in the Vatican alone. Or is that just Colson Montgomery and Edgar Caro making the roster? Yeah, they mostly sucked, especially with runners in scoring position, but once again, better than whatever the fuck last season was, so it works. Chris Getz's eternal rebuild continues on with haste. As a bunch of assistants work hand once the dust settled. You can't really gauge much from a year like this, only hope that Matt Ishbia gains control ASAP. And hopefully be a lot better than Ryan Stufus. There are only 2 words that strike more fear to Luis Robert than him at the plate. Team option. Enjoy your celebration cake shake while you wait for the next 15-year rebuild in 2038. You want to know the sad thing about this? This is the first time the Royals have finished with consecutive records over 500 in a decade. It's a fine certificate of mediocrity indeed. One with some legitimate skill. We'll be building statues to Bobby Witt Jr. someday. Might be in the same area they built Salvies. And it'll be quite the hit. Unlike the Royals this year. There were only 4 players that were worth more than Kansas cow shit in the box. The rest were duds or guys on an eternal struggle bus stuck in standstill I-435 traffic like Jack Caglione. Even for their impressively strong pitching all around, if you can't hit, you won't win anywhere. Most strikeouts in the league and near the bottom in all offensive categories. Yet Alex Zumwalt's coming back for some reason? Does he make good barbecue or something? It's not the worst scenario in the world, especially with their strong fielding and emergences of Noah Cameron and Chris Bubich. But they need a lot more to push further. Kansas City just has to figure out the next step. Kind of like them in their new stadium. Or what's supposed to be their new stadium. Is there even a plan to secure funding? Just trust in Bobby Witt Jr. and pray? Worst case scenario this season. Even the most cynical of us didn't believe that this would happen to the T's. Poor Rocco. He was the scapegoat for a disaster season. Well, bring in the next placeholder as they flay more of the team's skin to shed payroll. Derek Shelton? On behalf of Pirates fans, I am so damn sorry. So the first foray away from Oakland had its moments. Incredible collapses that ended any semblance of contention around May, but at least the A's are showing progress. If you look at it from this angle, the year was a tremendous success. Just pay attention to the bats. That hitting core has the potential to be phenomenal. Nick Kurtz is looking like the real deal. A revelation that you can build a damn team around. Jacob Wilson? Same thing, he's a beast, especially in day games. Shea Langoliers, Brent Rooker, and Tyler Soderstrom along with them. Denzel Clark's web gems? That's a group you can build around and it's impressive as hell. Now can they get some fucking competent pitching? 4 straight seasons of allowing 700 plus runs. It's been their Achilles heel for a while. And it got worse after shipping off Mason Miller. To be fair, when San Diego threw one of the top prospects in baseball and more in the deal, you take it. The rest of it is disappointing and belligerent as Luis Severino. And poorly planned like the temporary stay in Sacramento. Who knew locals wouldn't show up for a group that burned every bridge in Oakland and will be gone soon? They expected routine sellouts at $200 a game for lawn seats? Even in a minor league park? But those clowns at the top have a solution for you. Get ready for Sacramento Saturdays. With Sacramento on the jersey. Don't you feel involved yet? I guess this is preparing them for being a soulless tourist trap when they move to Las Vegas. Talk to the Raiders, they'll give you the lowdown. Congratulations, Houston! Your season may have been a miserable slog and it's the first time you missed the playoffs in almost a decade, but a fine award is yours. The most injured team in baseball. God, what a long list of wounded they had this year. Your Don started the year off hurt, but he came back in time for the playoff push. And he's hurt again. He suffered major injury before the deadline. Luis Garcia, Christian Javier, Ronel Blanco, Josh Hader. They all went down at some point long term. And you can argue the Hader injury fucked them harder than anything else. And Frombear? He's fucking cancer with what he pulled with this catcher. Get him the fuck out of there. I'd say the same with Christian Walker, but he's got a limited no-trade clause. I'd say that was their biggest mistake this past offseason, but they never properly replaced Kyle Tucker. Cam Smith was good for a few months, then fell off the face of the map. Everyone thought Jose Altuve in left field was going to be a disaster. We were correct. He'd be moved back to second in less than 50 games. Even bringing Carlos Correa home couldn't stop the free fall, and he carried the hospital bedpan when freed from Minnesota. They were too banged up and too flawed to make an impact when needed. What a waste of Hunter Brown's talents. Dude was fighting for a Cy Young and the Astros were lying in the bottom of a trash can. Especially against Seattle to end the year. I'd have hope, but they're going to be as constrained as a lady in a corset with their payroll, especially with that in Correa. And with those Christian Walker and Lance McCullers anchors holding them back, you need more Jeremy Peñas. Find a way to pull them out of your ass or else you get more shit years like this. Oh, you're telling me the Astros received a second award? The second worst farm system in baseball? How the hell is that an award? Things were looking quite impressive against the White Sox to open the year. 2-1 with the world as your oyster. Too bad they went 70-89 to finish the campaign. The Angels exist to make everyone suffer as Artie Moreno runs everything further into the ground. I legitimately don't know how you can do that, but he finds a way. Featuring an offense that gets on base about as often as Butthead and can do pretty much nothing outside of Zach Neto and Joe Adell. At least you got your guys to produce power this year. But that meant you had to sacrifice Mike Trout and his soothsayer glove. Not only fighting lingering injuries, he suffered the worst production of his career. The Halos need to face war crimes for this atrocity, but instead will strike out the most in baseball and trot out Kyle Hendricks in a swan song that wasn't very good. Quite the dead end of a franchise. Sometimes I wonder why they just don't imitate Anthony Rendon and not even bother whatsoever, but idiocy needs to take center stage. Ron Washington wasn't anything close to a problem. He had to leave due to a medical issue for the remainder of the year. I hate to tell you, Ron, but Artie's bored of you and your veteranosity. Your parking spot's been removed from team headquarters permanently. So what archetype's left for him to hire? A former franchise player? No, not Pujols. He's already getting paid enough by them as it is. Perry Manassian's puppeting Kurt Suzuki will do nicely here. He's got some promise. With a 1-year deal for a manager? This is giving me shades of David Culley and Jim Thompson. The team as broken as the weight room air conditioning. The team currently in Egypt, they're so deep in denial. Is anyone interested in being a part-time HVAC technician for pennies on the dollar? People joke that Major League Baseball should investigate the Rangers for their 2023 World Series ring. After the last 2 years, though, maybe they have a point. I will say this, if championships were solely based on pitching, Texas would be a perennial contender. Jacob deGrom had 2 Tommy John surgeries and he's still dominating. Nathan Eovaldi was even better than him. If he pitched a full year, he'd have a Cy Young. I'm not joking. Tyler Mahle was strong. Jack Leiter held his own. The bullpen was underrated all season. So why didn't they make the dance? Can't dance when you can't hit and can't get on base. Tried pressing a bunch of different buttons. Even Brett Boone is hitting coach, but nothing worked. Dragging ass like a Dolis at the plate. He somehow got even worse. And that Marcus Semien deal? Even with that gold glove, it might be souring in real time with his impotence and ailments. Corey Seager had injury issues too, despite his elite production. And the underperformance results in standard mediocrity. Change was needed. And it comes in an amicable divorce. It's only amicable between the Rangers and Bruce Bochy because they won a World Series together. But to get back there, they need that spark again. Maybe they get it from Skip Shoemaker, maybe not, but it couldn't hurt. He did decent work in Miami until they pulled the rug from under him. Skip will have a better situation here, at least in the payroll department. Like the state of Texas, the Rangers' power grid needs upgrading. Maybe Seager's wife can work her magic with Cody Bellinger's wife. Happy wife, happy life, right? The National League's answer to the Baltimore Orioles. A purported World Series contender hyped to hell and back only to fall flat on their faces on the first charge. At least the Braves can pretend they have an excuse as to why this happened. Everybody got injured to hell. It started with Acuna, continued with their pitching staff, and apparently it spread to their hitters at the plate itself. The season was as lost as Bryce Elder on the mound by July. Everyone knew it, no point in pretending that there was a chance in hell. Those that fancy themselves elite don't finish below the goddamn Marlins in the standings. Especially those that do the bare minimum in the offseason. Well, at least until they willingly swallow Ha-Sung Kim's contract for some reason? Oh great, now you start winning, Braves. Now you play to potential in mid-September. Sure, most everyone's healthy. Drake Baldwin won Rookie of the Year and Matt Olson's damn good, but what the hell? It was just that kind of season. And it's time for change. Ryan Snitker's moving upstairs to an advisory role. Won a World Series and lasted in the role for about a decade. Not bad for a so-called placeholder hire. The rumors are swirling. David Ross, Chipper Jones. Perhaps their next manager will be Walt Weiss. Walt fucking Weiss is your new skipper? You stayed in-house for another retread? Do you seriously think you're gonna find another Snicker out of a hat again? God, these guys are so fucking frustrating. Tanking, eh? This team was gonna be completely terrible, we thought. Seems like the Marlins had other plans. Not entirely due to them, but a lot of reasons were part of it. Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards holding the torch for the past nuking. Kyle Stowers turning into a damn good player out of seemingly nowhere. Jacob Marcy in his second half tearing it up. Javier Sanoja winning a Gold Glove as a utility man. They've got questions to answer still, but their hitting core should lead to a brighter tomorrow. Edward Cabrera was a stud in the rotation. For a team this wrecked to not only keep fighting for a playoff spot to the very end, but have a 500 record in late July? Not gonna lie, kind of impressive. But they just don't have enough right now. Like Sandy Alcantara struggling to find any semblance of form until the end. Like prospects still having growing pains in the lineup and a high team ERA due to lack of depth. There's still a ways to go in deep rebuild number 5. Fortunate thing is that there's momentum. Even in TV ratings? Guess the Bendix way's the truth after all. Next year will be a test of staying power. I wonder how they'll respond to the sudden surge. Mets fans were looking forward to watching a potential World Series run. What they ended up watching was the slow death of a close relative. Age and fate eat away at their exterior. And all people can do is brace for 3 months of abject horror. It was less collapse and more slow-motion Staten Island ferry crash. June led to an inexplicable implosion. From then on, things simply fell apart, especially in the pitching department. That core gave up more walks than a sunny day in Central Park. Seemingly endless waves of injuries did them in. And the loss of Kodai Senga was the canary in the coal mine. 46 pitchers used. Most of them had to go under the knife for major surgery. Even the rentals at the deadline were mostly disasters. The less they have to see Ryan Helsley and Cedric Mullins in the future, the better they'll be. An off-season where they spent almost $1 billion and a $340 million payroll imploding into $1 billion pieces. And in sweet irony, like that 2007 collapse, the final dagger is driven in by the fucking Marlins. Not even Nolan McClain can save you from that. An abject disaster in every way known to man. Now they'll have to find a way to keep Edwin and a polar bear around. Or pony up even more to try and will this team to a World Series. Does an embarrassed Daddy Steve have any more priceless paintings or antiques to offer up to foot the bill? Does he scream at David Stearns to not get cute with his dumpster diving? Or not lose any more assistance to the goddamn Braves? Rebuilds. You gotta love them as they make you tear your heart out every chance you get. Growing pains are a hell of a drug. If you can't manage to break through after years of frustration, you better find someone who can. The good news is that James Wood looks really fucking good. Abrams and Gore are as well, although Gore might be traded, so who knows. If only the rest of the team managed to develop like they did. Seriously, there was next to no one else besides those guys. It was an army of replacement-level fodder for the most part. You have to be able to stop runs from scoring sometimes, boys. The only team that gave up more plays their game's a mile above sea level. Which is how a season gets hit second deck at nearly every opportunity. Ball smoked like the Jake and Jake Brisket Sando. That bullpen was fucking atrocious. Wave the white flag, because that lead is being surrendered at record speed. They blew 20 of them. A team ERA of 5.5 back there. No wonder why the old regime got toppled. Rizzo and Davey merely chucked out Brad Lord or Jackson Rutledge to give up another 3-run bomb or something. Perhaps get a core piece of the team that isn't from the Juan Soto trade. Dylan Cruz and Brady House have promised, but their bats are all but nothing right now. The Nationals need a joltin' bat, so they're looking for a young gun for a young team. 33-year-old Blake Butera. He's from the Rays, so he knows a thing or two about youth movements. Not just him, their new team president Paul Taboni is 35. They better work out. If not, repeat the cycle in 3 years. You're also ineligible for a top 10 pick this year as well. Bad time to fail so mightily. I'm not shocked by this. No one that follows them should be. A team that does fuck all in the offseason to improve does fuck all when it matters? How absolutely shocking. Who knew that a team unable to develop hitters can't hit the ball at all? Attempting to score runs was like watching a tourist try to decipher parking chairs. Shit wasn't happening. The Bucko bricks taken away for supposed care, then left to rot in a local landfill in a completely unnecessary scandal. You can also substitute the Clemente wall decal if you wish. Baseball getting the belt out and whipping this trash team every chance they can. And this is with Paul Skeens getting wins pissed away due to offensive impotence. Don't worry about Oneil Cruz being the second coming of El Cofe and Brian Reynolds falling off the face of the map. Here's Kutch for his third farewell tour while suffering painful decline in every facet of play. The season went off the rails by May, and that was more than enough time for Derek Shelton to reveal himself as a fraud. Don Kelly held his own as manager, and the players responded to him, so he's earned a permanent spot for the time being. I guess the pitchers didn't like Oscar Marine, but keeping Ben Sherrington? He's been fucking terrible as GM here. Why are they keeping him? If you aren't gonna do a damn thing, which you won't, don't bother with the false hype. I'll believe them signing Kyle Schwarber when I see it happen. Otherwise, just step out of the way and let the real teams trade for Skeens and Bubba Chandler. And Mitch Keller. And Connor Griffin. And anyone else worth a shit. What a lifeless lump. A franchise long spinning the wheels of futility with apathy seeping through at nearly every angle. They have names and some pieces, but nowhere near enough. A decent start keeping up with the real teams of the NL Central wasn't enough. Once July hit, things fell to the wayside. They are what they are. A mediocre franchise. Seemingly putting all of their eggs in the likes of Jordan Walker, yet whiffed like him at the plate. Death approaches fast. Only able to stave off total rot thanks to smooth fielding. They finally traded a few pieces at the deadline, so maybe they got the memo, but it's hard to let things go. Steelers of baseball aren't called that without reason. I'd ask anyone in St. Louis how they feel, but it's obvious from how nobody bothered to show up to games. Why the hell would you plunker down hard-earned cash for a chance to see 83 and 79 Super Bowl? Shit, that didn't even happen either. The DeWitt family says they're staying put for a long time. Plan the goddamn parade! Serious about that, John Mazzelli Extel tenure's finally being fired via promotion. Chaim Bloom will get his fingers all over this juicy, delicate bird. There's a lot of work that needs done. A team with some talent and a top 10 farm system, but lacks a true identity with a number of bad contracts to maneuver around. What they do from here